So now that you have received your passport and your visa, what next? First, I'm going to say congratulations. Yes, congratulations, because if you have applied for visas, particularly from, let's say, Nigeria, you know how difficult visa processes can be. Even sometimes when you do have genuine intentions, you can be denied a visa if you do not present your visa application in a way that convinces the visa officer that you do not have immigrant intentions where you are going to or in your desired destination. So now that you have received your visa, congratulations. It means that you are ready to go on your trip. And so now that you're ready to travel, what must you do? The first thing you want to do is that you want to go online and search for flights that go to your desired destination. Yes. Now, even when you're using a ticketing agent, you want to compare the rates online first to ensure that you're getting the best rate from your agent. Now, I always advise people you can book directly with the airlines. I always book directly with the airline because I'm able to check the terms and the conditions, and most times you might find cheaper deals if you're booking directly, with the airline. But of course, the advantage of using a ticketing agent is that they would be able to compare routes maybe with other airlines and maybe advise you on the best option. You can also do that yourself if you're patient to actually go online and do the search yourself. So your agent will be able to do that for you. So if you want the soft life, you use an agent, but if you have the time to do it yourself, you would be able to also find cheaper deals if you spend the time, searching. So find a flight that goes to your destination and then buy your tickets. After you have done that, book your accommodation. Let's say if you're staying with someone, you want to make sure that you have the address of where you would be going to and also the contact number of the person who is going to be hosting you or the person you're going to be staying with. So you do want to have that address, because even at departure, you will be required to complete the address of where you will be staying when you're completing the passenger departure form. And then when you arrive at your destination, they may ask you where you're going to stay. They would want to know the address of the place where you're going to stay. If it is a hotel, you want to have your hotel booking. You want to have a valid hotel booking. If it's convenient, you can print it out. If it's not convenient, then you can have it in soft copy, to show at the airport when you are asked that question. Now, the next thing you want to do is that you want to ensure that you do buy local currency of the destination where you are going to. If it's something you can find readily available in your destination, then go ahead and buy it. You just need, the idea is just to have cash with you. It really, really helps. Even when you claim you're traveling with your cards, always have physical cash with you. If not for anything, most times, even if it's just to take you from point A, which would be the airport, to your desired destination. But don't just have that minimum, just have it, sufficient, to take care of an emergency. In any case, there are times where you will try to use a card abroad and then maybe the card is blocked, or for whatever reason your bank thinks that because you did not inform your bank that you're traveling, you may not be able to access it. So you're not stranded. Always have cash even when you have your bank cards, with you. So you need to purchase some foreign currency, that you will need in that destination. If it's a country where you cannot find the local currency in your own country, then I think you should go with the USD. Personally, I prefer to go with the US dollars because it is widely accepted. So have some USD with you, and then by the time you get to that country, it will be easier for you to exchange the USD to the local currency. Like I said, it is widely accepted. When you claim that you have money on your card, then indeed you should have money on your card. I have seen in an instance where when someone arrived at the airport, the immigration officer was trying to check if really they had sufficient money for to take care of their trip. The person claimed that yes, even though they didn't have sufficient cash with them, they had money on their card. And then the immigration officer said, okay, no problem, come with me, and took the person to the ATM at the airport for the person to put in their password and then check the balance that they had on that card. So you don't want to lie. Imagine that, let's say you had $300 in cash, and then you're like, okay, I'm staying for 1 month, and then you're like, okay, I have money on my card, and then they ask you, okay, so how much do you have on your card? And maybe you claim to say, okay, I have $4,000 on my card, and then by the time they go open your card, they see only maybe $100 or $200. That would be a problem, because they would not be convinced that you have sufficient money to cover your trip. And when you don't have money to cover your trip, then they would suspect that your stay isn't genuine, maybe that you plan to walk, or maybe you're not disclosing the purpose of your trip, and it could be a reason why you could be deported. So you don't want to lie. You want to ensure that you are funded, in terms of your card is funded when you're traveling, and then you have little cash with you to take care of any emergencies that may. Another thing you also want to do is that you want to find out the requirements they have for the passenger requirement or entry requirements for the destination that you're going to. Every country, every destination has its own requirements. So what applies to country A may not apply to country B. So you want to check the things that you're expected to, if they're vaccination or whatever you're expected to have before you land at that destination. You want to ensure that you have it. It could be a reason why you're returned. For example, let's say Nigerians, I know there are certain countries that require the yellow fever card. In most cases, every time I'm traveling, I just carry all my vaccination cards. As long as I have my passport with me, I'm going to carry along all the vaccination cards that I do have, just so I would not have any issues when I am traveling. So you want to check the requirements. You also want to check the restrictions, because yes, there are restrictions in certain destinations. I remember one time I went to I don't know, it was a particular country I visited, I don't know, a few countries, and then plastic bags were not allowed. They were contraband. So I had to let go of the plastic bags that I had, because I did not want to violate that. So you also want to check, and it's easy online. You just ask questions online. Just go to Google and then just search, restrictions in this destination, the things that you can, bring, the things that you don't have to, the things that are prohibited. You want to ensure that you err on the side of caution. Another thing is that you might want to arrange your airport pickup. If it is your first time and then you're anxious, you don't know how to go about it. If you're staying at a hotel, you can arrange it through your hotel. That would be a safe place to start. You can arrange it through your hotel, or maybe any other third-party service. Or maybe if you're going somewhere, you can have someone pick you up from the airport, or maybe arrange an airport pickup for you. But even if you don't have that sorted, don't worry. It might be overwhelming, maybe because it's your first time, but it's really not that difficult. Once you get to that destination, it would be easy for you to get verifiable taxis. I always tell people, if it's your first time, try to go for verified taxis. You will find some of them within the airport. It would be more expensive than maybe stepping out, but you just go for the branded names, within the arrival area, and then you can pick a taxi to anywhere that you're going to. Like I said, it would be just a little bit more pricey, but of course, safety has no price tag on it, so you might want to spend just a little more on that experience. So now you're ready. What should you do? You should pack your bags, pack all the things that you need. If you're going on vacation, make sure you pack your beach wear, pack the things that you would need while you were there. And also, caution, try not to carry things for people. I've seen people who, once they find out that you're traveling, to tell you, oh, I have a sister in this destination, can you help me take something and give it to this person? If you do not know this person, avoid carrying things for people. I've seen many people get into trouble just because they carried items that they did not know what was inside, and those people kind of concealed contraband, prohibited items inside that bag, and then you just carry it to that destination, and then you will get into trouble. The one carrying that thing, before they start asking you, okay, who gave it to you, and then you start explaining that the person is at home, you're the person they would arrest first, detain first, before trying to find out what the truth is. So do not carry anything for someone that you do not know. Better still, you don't even need to tell them that you're traveling, so they don't have to give you the things. If you plan to travel like on Monday, tell them you're traveling by weekend, and so by the time they know that, they try to give you that thing, they know that you're already gone. I know that they're innocent people, but I'm just saying, try not to don't make it a habit to carry things for people, particularly for people that you do not know. It could get you into trouble. Most times it might just be maybe prohibited items, that are not allowed in that destination, and then you will be there faced with the problem and having to explain, about something that has no business, to do with your travel. So try and avoid that. That's good advice. So now you have your bags packed. What must you do next? You want to find out your departure terminal, because you want to arrive at the airport early. You don't want to, let's say you're leaving from Terminal 2, you now realize that you now go to Terminal 1. Certain countries, you have like that Terminal 1 and Terminal 5 that are completely two different areas. So you don't want someone to drop you off at one and then you realize you're in a different terminal, and then you're having to figure out how you can move from one terminal to another. Find out the terminal where you're traveling, find out where the airlines are departing from, and then you get to the airport in good time. So once you get to the airport, you want to identify the counter where you would find, in most cases, the flights, the airlines would be boldly displayed on the screen. So if you're having difficulties, finding out, you will find airport staff around there. Ask them where your flight would go, and they will just direct you to the spot, and then you would go and then queue for your check-in. Now when you queue for your check-in, you would have people come around, the staff come around, you go through different verification points before you're checked in. Now once you check in, try and make sure you take note of your seat number. If you did not check in online, yes, I know maybe if it's your first time, it might be a bit overwhelming, but just know that you can check in online for your flight and select your preferred seat. Most times when you enter the plane and now realize that, okay, they gave you a middle seat. You can decide what seat you want. In most cases, you might need to pay a little extra, if you're doing it ahead of time. Let's say you're trying to make sure you get the best seats before the other people get it. You might be required to pay a little more, but in most cases it would be free. So once you get to the airport, even at the counter when they are checking you in, you can request for your preferred seat if it is available. Of course, if it's available and no one else is there, the airport staff would give it to you. So once you have your boarding pass, you'll be given a boarding pass, and then your passport, of course, will be returned to you, and then you will need to proceed to the boarding gate. It is at the boarding gate that you would meet immigration. You queue up, and then you would find the immigration officer. They would verify your passport. They might ask you a few questions. If they realize that maybe it's your first time, they might just want to harass you a bit. If they realize that it's your first time, they would ask you a few questions, just to know that, okay, you understand what you're doing. They might ask you where you're going to. They might even ask you things like, what do you do for a living? Where would you be staying? And then once they are convinced that, okay, you should go, whatever that is, they would stamp your passport and then direct you to go through security. Now when you go through security, you scan your bags, and then you would get to the arrival and the departure gate. Now when you're giving your boarding pass, you want to take note of your flight time. You also want to take note of the boarding time. You also want to take note of your boarding gate. You would find things like maybe A16, E62, things like that. They would circle it for you. If you don't know, if you can't identify it, ask them at the counter during check-in. They will just circle it for you and tell you, this is your boarding gate and this is your boarding time. You want to ensure that you are there in good time, because boarding closes, in most cases 30 minutes before departure time, all that. So you don't want to do that and then go and do something else. You just want to get to your boarding gate and then panic about leaving your flight from there, just so you don't miss your flight. So you would wait at your boarding gate until your flight is called. Another thing you also want to take note is you want to take note of your seat number, because most times when airlines are boarding, they might be boarding your seat number and also your group number. If that is indicated, they might be boarding by groups, and then that is also just to ensure that the whole thing doesn't get really rowdy and it's really organized. So you want to take note of your group number and your seat number, because your seat number is assigned to you and only you. So once you get on the airline, you need to identify your seat, because everyone has a seat number. This won't be a case of, oh, you're my seat, stand up on my seat. Everybody has a seat number. If you're in the wrong seat, go and find your seat. So now you're ready to travel. So what other questions do you have? Are you anxious about your first trip? Ask questions and I will help you. Is there anything you would like to know? Leave your comments here and I will respond. Most important advice I would give you today would be always ask questions, no matter how silly you think your question is. It is better for you to get a clear understanding of whatever you need to do rather than pretend that you already know what it is. So whenever you find that you're in doubt or you're confused, always ask questions, and then there's always someone out there that will be willing to help you. And in this case, if you talk to airport staff, that is their job to provide clarity. They would answer you and they would do that willingly. So safe travels. Bye.